I've gone through all the documents of real estate. So I've gone through the painful parts of doing transactions.
There you go. So guys, yeah, on that note, let me introduce Jason Starbuck, a recent new friend of mine and sort of a mentor, as I mentioned at the end of yesterday's session. I've been going through one of Jason's programs. It's called the Move D30, right? Moved. And it's,
Yep.
yeah, I
Moved.
should know what it's called. I paid for it. Yeah.
It's always fun because you always say the D. I think it's the way that move comes out, but movement, moved. And so we just kind of keep the MOVD. So it probably sounds like that, but it's pronounced moved. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of fun with Jason's program, and it's kind of changed some things up for me in terms of just productivity and getting things done throughout the day and in a number of ways. And I just thought it'd be really cool to have Jason on one of these sessions and maybe talk about a few of his main, I don't know, what would you call them, Jason? Kind of premises.
Some of our focal points on the way that we get into momentum of where you're at and maybe how you got there. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. So maybe I'll start by just talking about a few of the things that really worked for me. And guys, I think having been a real estate agent myself and having lots of ventures going on, I think some of what Jason has been teaching me will be just really valuable to you guys because you tend to have a lot of stuff going on in business. There's ebbs and flows, and sometimes you feel like you've got the energy and sometimes you don't. So Jason, I'll just kick in and say that one of the coolest things for me has been stacking, as you call it, kind of having a routine that I go through every morning. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that is for everybody?
Yeah, definitely. So Jason Starbuck here. I appreciate you letting me on. This is really cool. One of the things that I found throughout my life, and I'm sure that everybody on this call probably say, yeah, that's me, but most of us would say we have some form of ADD or ADHD and everything like that. So it gets diluted for some of those that got it really bad. So depending on where you have it, I tend to probably have that as well. And as a younger kid, I was always kicked out of class because I was always talking and things like that. So I had to find a way to get things done so there's an unemotional plan to it in my mind. And so I started to look at stacking repeated processes. And so a lot of what we talk about in the Move 30 is identifying what are some of the minimal viable solutions that we can do, that we can stack multiples of them and then repeat those on a daily basis. And so by stacking, you tend to hit different areas in your life, and you could stack many things. I mean, you could stack repeated times with your kids or whatever they are in a fun way, but I like to use this on an entrepreneurial way. And so that's how I look at stacking. And so I stack different repeated processes.
And then you touch on both health, right? Physical stuff in the morning, but also stacking things that will help in business. And I think for the purposes of our audience, it might be cool if we go a little bit into the health stuff, but also maybe we start to build a stack that agents could follow together.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things is I'll just share with you, if it's okay, if I share with a little backstory and kind of why this makes any sense. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I have a background. I started in the car business. So I was pretty young. So the idea of making transaction and sales were super important to me. And also kind of part of became my life, right? And then as I had kind of went that route, I ended up working for Harley Davidson. And while I was working for Harley Davidson, there was a little brand out there, depending on what the age bracket here is, but there was an old brand called Affliction, and it was thrown everywhere, and everyone was wearing those crazy shirts. And the early 2000, I saw their brand inside of a surfer magazine, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Fast forward, next thing you know it, I own 70 commerce stores with Harley Davidson stuff, and I've got chopper motorcycle stuff, sunglasses, and all that stuff. So that story really is maybe in a scenario that you're in. I had everything going on at that time as an entrepreneur, and I was literally like all over the place. So fast forward, I took my Harley Davidson up to Sacramento, and I was going through the Grapevine, and I was going up there. If any of you guys have ever been up there, I was going down, and as I was going down the Grapevine, I usually go down in the morning, but I found that during that day when I was going down, I usually love it, but I kept telling myself I'm always on the move. I'm always on the move. And at that moment, I started to realize that my body was falling apart. I didn't have really any clarity to really see where I'm going. I mean, yeah, I said this is my job and this is what I did, but not real clarity on where I wanted to go. And then I also recognized, like, what is the domino or what's the thing that I got to do no matter what to keep this machine going? And so through those different avenues, what I did is there's the whole story. I moved to Thailand, I lived in India. And so there's a whole story behind it. But the evolution came that by stacking these three things, a physical side, a mental plan, an action plan. And then the last one is, what is the thing that you have to do on a daily basis consistently that'll create momentum? And by putting these three together, it's almost like, I don't like to say it like this, is so corny, but it's like a Captain Planet. We got wind, we've got sea, and we've got fire. And what we bank on here at Moved is that if I can get you physically feeling strong, I change your confidence state. If I can get you seeing a visionary of what you really want your day to look like and how you actually transact with people, you start to attract that thing. Then if we can identify what's the thing that maybe we don't like doing, but we better do it because we can't eat, because we're not hunting. And so by using those three things, not say everyone, but as I go through clients with the Move 30, guys like you, Ryan, that participate, we've seen some incredible results. And the best part of it is we see our clients a lot of times saying, man, I'm doing fun stuff. I think one of the things you and I talked about, Ryan, was, hey, man, I think I'm gonna go play volleyball again. And I was like, yeah. What's up? Like, let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of sitting around all day, and in real estate, you do find yourself tethered to a desk a lot of the day if you're not out face to face with people. And I think just everybody in the modern world, you end up getting back pain, you get a little bit out of shape. And Jason, I don't know if you know in real estate, but a lot of times it feels like there is zero time for anything because you're kind of at the whims of a buyer or a seller a lot of your life. And if you really need to be intentional about making some time for you, for some of the things you're talking about.
And that the Move 30, I think, even as we had talked about, is the ultimate philosophy behind what if I was an evangelist for this product, because I believe in it, I think really what it is that as a real estate agent, how strong do you need to be as a real estate agent? Then you decide what your extracurricular activities are. And so what I am trying to share with people is a different angle of looking yourself as an athlete, as a business owner, entrepreneur, and saying, what do I have to do to be strong in these areas? And then once I'm strong in those areas, the extracurricular stuff, volleyball, I'm a little bit older, but I still fight Muay Thai. I just got done. I literally walked in 20 minutes ago. So as you kind of get a baseline, you can do more things. The thing that we're doing is we're not doing anything, or we're trying to become CrossFit professionals. And we need to figure out, are we going to be real estate agent strong, or am I trying to be a CrossFit person? Let's make a decision here. We can do both, but they are seasons in your life.
I think the reason I've been able to stick to your plan is because the physical side was not very hard. It's like I get it done like while I'm waiting for the tea water to brew every morning. Right. So I think that's a really big one. Do you mind sharing just a little bit about the physical, like so that people, just what's a good maybe stack to start with for somebody? Yeah.
Well, what I'd like to share, if this is okay, I'd like to kind of give a philosophy or maybe something that you can use as an analogy. A lot of stuff that I try to do here at Moved, personally, I've gone through all of this stuff. So a lot of stuff I teach is because I really am like, wait a minute, this just didn't work. Like, why are we looking at it this way? And so I'd like to share with you maybe a story that you can relate to, or somebody can. We in California have a place called Magic Mountain, Six Flags Magic Mountain. It's like the first place you went where you'd go on a ride and then they drop the floor out from under you and you cry and things like that. But the one thing about Magic Mountain is that all the rides are on this big ass hill. And so imagine you're a father and you're standing at the bottom, or a mother, you're standing at the very bottom of the hill. And as you're at the bottom of the hill, you look up, it's probably about 40 yards. And they're like, we got to go to the next ride up there. And you're like, okay, you look up, you're like, gosh, damn it. I got to walk up that stinking hill. You got all these bags, you got kids. And so what happens? All of a sudden your 4-year-old looks down, looks up at you and goes, hey, Dad, I don't want to walk. And you're like, or Mom, you're like, I guess we're doing this. And so you pick the kid up and you walk. Excuse me. You walk up the hill, and when you get to the top of the hill, you carry your kid and you set your kid down, and then you grab your knees and you go, and you kind of go, oh my gosh. And then what happens? Your friend looks over and you kind of give the face, and instead of them saying stuff, you go look at them and you go, I'm out of shape. And what happens in that storyline is a lie. The reality is that when you were at the bottom of that mountain, you wanted to live the life of being able to go to amusement parks and enjoy yourself. If we look at that actual hill as actual strength in your legs, then really what happened is by the time you got up to the top of the hill, you didn't have enough foundational strength in your legs. So the oxygen said, hey, by the way, here's a middle finger to you. I'm going all the way to your leg. And now all of a sudden you think that you're out of shape. If you would have had some resistance, for example, just maybe 30 squats a day, and we were to look at those 30 squats, and I always would tell you, Ryan, it's like, hey, man, if we break it up even in 10, 10, 10, then our goal is to look at ourselves as 24 hours strong. And you are equivalent to 30 squats broken up 3 times. In that muscle, those 30 squats that we may have talked about you doing over 30 days builds an actual baseline that if you keep that minimal amount of resistance, you could go up that magic mountain hill, carry your kid, and then just walk right to the ride and not even think about it. The effort to the actual value that you get out of minimal viable resistance in your life makes you a stronger real estate agent, because you're not flopping into the house when somebody says, hey, by the way, I'm sure this is pretty common. Can you move? We got to move these boxes. And you're like, man, shit. And you're like, well, would you rather go move them and get it over with? Or do you want to be in pain because you hurt your back? We have
as I got out of my 20s into my 30s and I was selling, I don't know if anybody can relate. It was those property tours that were more than 6 or 7 houses. I just started to lose it toward the end. Like, wow, I'm wiped out. This is actual physical work here. You know, just taking people and showing more than one house with steps. So.
Well, and also I'll throw this out there. I don't know about you guys out there. I'm sure you guys are like me, but a little bit of work actually feels good. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel good when you don't have any muscle. And so after working with multiple entrepreneurs, we came to the conclusion that we want to look at ourselves as the baseline of feeling equal to our occupation. What do I got to do to be strong as a real estate agent? What are the things that have to be equal? We talk about, let's say, for example, we did these 30 squats and now you've broken them out in 10. And, maybe you're on here and you're like, Jason, that's only 30 squats. Well, let's talk about longevity. Now we have a different game. But what we need to do is look at what in my life is worth 30 squats a day. And as you look at your life, you go, I can transition 30 squats and me be able to pick up all the groceries and not have a problem. Those 30 squats, when my kid runs at me and hits me in the hip and I'm about to fall over, my leg goes backwards and I kind of catch myself. This little things change the way you live your life. And so in the long run, my goal or my evangelistic storyline is like, how do we get everybody to get to just this? Because that will change you. Our spikes are just screwing with our head.
So on the physical, you give everybody an individual plan, but mine's just a handful of things like 30 squats a day. Again, that can be finished in 5 minutes. And I'll be a testimony. It's been a couple of months and I feel better. And I'm not getting ripped and shredded and, all those other things. And we're talking about adding more things, but it was a good start for somebody who sits in a chair for 8 hours a day. So, all right, so let's move past the physical. So usually you recommend getting that done first thing in the morning, or you're spreading it out through the day if you need to. Is that?
I genuinely like to use the program in saying, let's remove as many restrictions as we can, and you're free within 24 hours to get it done. So once we come to a conclusion that will change who you are, then you're not going to deviate from that, because those actual actions change who you are. And then once you feel the actual change, you're like, I don't want to go back. Then the simplicity comes in, and it's stupid. For me, my stack, I do a 10-minute row every day, every single day. And that 10-minute row changes my life.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a pause here because I didn't properly introduce. So anybody coming in today, usually we talk about business building techniques, KV core stuff. So if you're coming in and you're confused, you're in the right place. What we're doing today is we're talking to Jason Starbuck just about some more foundational things we can do outside of selling real estate in order to be better real estate agents. And Jason has a program that he's been taking me through, and I just thought it'd be really cool to have him here. So Jason, one of the things that I've had the hardest time with, I'll be totally honest, and I'm not there yet with your program, is this mental action plan stuff. I assume by mental action plan, you mean the meditation stuff? Yeah. Is okay. You want to talk about meditation?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meditation is a very interesting thing. When I say the word meditation, there's many responses that people have. You know, if we had 10 people on the call, there's going to be a percentage that just dove into the entire thing, you know, the whole monk's experience. And then there's going to people that maybe have a religious background and they look at meditation as like something that's woo woo and there's something I shouldn't be a part of. I don't want to try to debunk any of those. I would just like to share with you a different angle. And what I found with meditation is that if you look at it as a tool and a muscle, just like I try to build my bicep, the reason you meditate is because it has a way of giving you the muscle of retracting all of the crazy things that are happening to your life. So as you get into a meditative state, it starts to actually take your brain, and as things come into your brain, the more you meditate and you practice these practices, you tend to just allow those things to come in and come out. The value of that is you're less responsive. Doesn't mean you're less intelligent. It means that you're less responsive. And if I took this as, if you guys have ever watched boxing or anything like that, a panic fighter is a losing fighter. And if we look at ourselves as real estate agents or business owners, we want to put ourselves in the most calm state with the greatest ability to make the best decisions. And those aren't panic decisions. As you get into that, you allow yourself this kind of comfort zone. Now, the type of meditation and manifestation I teach, it actually rolls into a manifestation. And that's what you and I think we're getting to right here. Mm-hmm. So my experience with meditation has been a lot of fun. I've gone deep into it. But what I like to do is share with entrepreneurs, and even if you guys are real estate agents out there, is that I like to teach an actionable type meditation and manifestation. And when I talk about like that, I want to share with you that if we look at our business like a spine, and we look at the different vertebrae as different chunks of our business. Now, I'll try to do this as simple as possible. And the areas that we identify are L, S, O, D, T. Now, every business needs an area that has leads. Every single business has a sale portion. Every single business has a onboarding, a delivery, and a testimonial. So when we look at manifestation, what I'm going to share with you right now is more of a first person experience. You can imagine your business. I'm just going to go to the ends of it is like Disneyland. And the greatest companies are always the ones that give you the best experience. And so if we look at our business down the line of a spine, and I were to actually move these horizontal, so they were actually sit like this, and I were to open the door to my business spine. So let's say I close my eyes, I've calmed myself down, I'm now into a rhythm, and I can kind of change this directory, and I can actually look at my business through this door. And when I open up the door, what I want to do is I want to start down the spine of leads, sales, onboarding, delivery, and testimonial. Through this process, what you're doing is you're expressing in your head everything that's going on. So if you have a list, I'll just give this as simple as possible. If you knew that if you talked to 10 people a day, and you knew that that was the actual thing that moved the thing down your business, then we need to identify that those 10 people every single day must be a stack in your life.
Talk to 10 people a day about real estate?
About real estate. So we know
that would be under the leads category. I just want to make sure I'm sketching this out right.
Yep. So if you have some form of an outreach, and obviously we've had custom ones and we've built them in the program, you and I, but the thing is you need to find what is that thing that moves the thing. What's the energy?
Can we talk about your messaging approach, what you did to me? Because I mentioned it on one of my sessions. I actually think is very relevant to real estate. Just the way that you've been growing your business, and that it would just be an example of a leads, but leads can be anything, guys, as you know.
I would love to share it.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer that our entire society is still coming at this market. When you start as a business person, that you need to go out there and sell. So if you've started with, if you started with a new branch or anything that you're working for, and you go in there, the entire office, when you work there, they're expecting you to make a sale, like, okay, make a sale, but you've really made no relationship. So what ends up happening is you tend to go to family members, look for friends, maybe you have some outlets to get something. And what you're doing is you're looking for people to know, like, and trust you immediately. And you get discouraged so bad because you don't have a trough of, all these different, leads coming in, and you don't have people talking about you. So the way that I ran this campaign and how I got to know Ryan is that I ran a campaign that said, I'm willing to do X, Y, Z and show you how to get this result. It takes about an hour. I'm looking to give this process away in exchange for a testimonial. So if we looked at this as a real estate agent, what is the thing that you could teach somebody that would give them extreme value? Give it all away. This is the calculator I use. This is the insurance business I use. This is everything that I do. And after you schedule that, somebody that wants it, you do it on a whiteboard or you do it on your computer screen. At the very end, you then say, hey, by the way, most of the people that work and go through this process end up wanting to purchase a home or for me to be their agent. Would you like to me to show you how that happens? Now you've opened the door. But the thing about this campaign is two things should happen. One is you have a chance to get a listing. But the second one is you've now gotten their trust by education. And there's no other better way to do that because you're the person that has the information. But at the end, when you get their testimonial, you haven't even sold a property yet.
Yeah.
So if you barely are selling maybe one or two or three, and you go out there and run this campaign that goes out there and says, I'll do something, show you how to do this for an hour for free, then go, hey, by the way, how was your experience? Do you mind, say the company name and say your name? Do you mind giving me a testimonial? And then when they give you the testimony, you rip that testimonial and then you put it back in your marketing. And if you continue that flow, then slowly but surely you're creating this energy ball of people that know, like, and trust you. Now I'm going to give you a little life hack here. In sales, in any kind of sales prospect or anything like that, when nobody is buying from you, it is the hardest thing in the world because your brain just wants to shut off. When you have 20 testimonials of people saying how awesome you are, you can go back to those and go, you know what? I do have value to this community. I'm just going through a lull. I'm going to continue on. So these testimonials also have a big value to you as much as you have a value from the actual customer. And this campaign did really well.
So yeah, I wrote down some examples of what you might teach somebody on a session. And then tactically, Jason, what you did was you reached out on Facebook Messenger, right? So part of your stack, I think, was it messaging 10 people a day or something?
Yeah, for me, one of my stacks was that I messaged actually 30 people a day for this campaign. You should run, you're going to run about a 4 or 5% return response. But you don't need very many. I mean, if you ran this campaign in your local area and somebody was trying to purchase a home and you said, I will show you everything for an hour, as long as you tell me that, just give me a testimonial, you do 10 of those, dude, your whole competition doesn't even have 10 video testimonials.
Yeah. So the idea, guys, is you would start messaging people, and I just jotted some ideas down while Jason was talking, but let's just use hey, I've created a process, or, I've been teaching people how to buy their first fixer-upper and also get money for repairs. If this is something you'd be interested in, is this something you'd be interested in, right? You start with an open-ended question, Jason.
Yeah, that's a great way to. So the way that I would approach it is I would always say that I'm releasing my 2.0. And the reason that I say that is you've probably learned a couple things in 1.0. So let's just say you're in a 2.0. The reason I say that is because if you say 2.0, then they assume that you've already done some stuff in the beginning. It's just a play on words.
Oh, okay.
Every time I do that, I'll say the 2.0. And then there's some security is you've already done this in 1.0, but you're showing just something different.
So I'm trying to translate what you do as an info or, marketer to real estate. So yeah, so it could be, hey, I'm refining my process, or I have a class or a flow that I've created about buying first fixer-upper and money for repairs, and I have a second version that I'm trying out. Would you be willing to meet with me for an hour? I'll teach you the second version, something like that.
You need to let them know that you're looking for 5 people.
Okay.
To share this with in exchange for a video testimonial.
Got it. Okay.
In exchange, you are giving them value. Don't forget that.
Okay. So guys, the idea here first is you need to come up with something that you can talk to somebody about for an hour on a Zoom, right? That would lead to generating a customer. So it might be a listing or a buyer. I'm a huge fan of the investment property angle. I just think it generates listings. I talk about that on the sessions a lot, Jason. Like, hey, I can show you how to buy your first investment property without any of your own money out of pocket, something like that.
Yeah.
And if I did this for you for free for an hour, would you go on and give me a testimonial or something?
Yeah. And one thing too, and this is just marketing 101, is after the message, you can say something like, without having to come to my house, without having to meet up, without having to without having to have bought a property before. The reason that you want to do that, you know this, Ryan, in marketing, is you want to start eliminating those questions that they may have about themselves. And so you're giving them a proposal to say, look, I'm willing to educate you for free. And with the information that you have, you're going to be able to do this, this, and this. There's only 5 available. I'm going to be giving it away. Would you like to be a part? And when I just say, respond yes. And then when they respond, get on Zoom, get to know them as a normal person, then say, here's how this works, show it to them. And then from there, ask for your video testimonial. Then from there, let them, hey, by the way, I'm also a local agent in here, and this is what I do. This is how I do my process. So you've basically educated, indoctrinated them, and then said, hey, man, did I do a good job? Yeah, you did a good job. Cool. And then they give you a testimonial. That testimonial might make you $100,000.
Yeah. Once you market it.
Yeah.
So without slowing down the momentum here, I'm going to try to come up with a few of these Facebook messages that can be sent, Jason, and maybe I'll do that offline, and maybe I'll send them to you and get your approval on the scripting, because I know you've done really well with this. But the bottom line is, this is an example of the leads section of a stack, like the thing you need to do to generate leads in your business, right? That you walk through as part of the meditation every day. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So the it's LSOT. Actually, it's funny because we launched, Ryan's one was like, hey man, you got to just call this LSOT. So you were the culprit. Yeah. But the reason that I do this is because I'll give you guys an example. And again, I try to dive deep into the reasons why you do this stuff, because if you don't see why you're doing it, there's no freaking reason. And I wouldn't want to do it either. If you look at anybody that is at the higher levels, you always hear of them doing things of changing their persona, or they go in and if you're an artist or a musician, they go the night before and do a rehearsal. If you're a boxer, you're probably going to come to the ring the day before because you want to feel comfortable before you get in. We do these things to make ourselves familiar with what's going on. And through this opening the door technique, what you're doing is you're putting yourself through the perfect scenario through your entire business model. And as you're going through that in the mornings, if it's not clear, then you know that it's not clear. And if it's not clear, how is it going to be clear to your customers if it's not clear for you? And that is, I say this, but that's kind of like the come to Jesus. It's like, wait a minute here. I'm trying to tell these people and they're not converting, or I'm not getting hold of them. And you're like, it's not even clear to me. Because Ryan, that when things get clear, it's like this flow state of just like wings just start taking you where it is. So when you actually go through your business, when things get kind of stuck, by doing it every day, your brain starts to subconsciously look for the solutions. So for example, you might be in an office and you're going through it out every day and you're like, I don't know why this isn't happening. I'm not getting enough lead. What's going on? For some weird reason, Johnny walks in your office and he's like, hey, I'm working on this lead thing. You're like, what the heck is going on? And I can't figure out that part, but I sure am of understanding the front.
Yeah. All right. So you're walking through leads. It might be a little different. Sales is like how you generate the sale. For real estate, it might be generate the client, right? I think generate client. Right, to kind of get the buy. Think of it as getting a listing, a contractor to buyer agency appointment signed. For onboarding, that would probably be doing the actual face-to-face And delivery is like, it's in,
Well,
contract with things.
onboarding would be probably all of your listings, like you're onboarding them to different properties. You're kind of like, hey, this is our process, we're showing you, because that's really what you're doing. You're taking them into your ecosystem of properties you have available.
Showing appointment. Okay. Showing, etc. But basically you're walking through the main areas of your business and thinking about it every day. Is that a fair way to say meditation? You're opening the door, but
yeah, but the way that I teach this, you got to walk through it.
okay.
So imagine that you are every single day. So for example, if I sat down at my computer and I open up the computer, I'm closing my eyes and I open up the computer and I know that I have to talk to 10 sellers every day. Where are they? Is it a file? What is it? I have to be able to know where it's at. Okay, it's a file. Where's the file? Okay, it's in my documents. Okay, so I've opened that up. I bring that file. I then look at that file. Do I have enough names there to reach out? Yes, I do. Cool. So I have to do 3 a day. Cool. Where is the message? Cool. I send these 3 messages today. 2 people respond. Do I have a response? Oh, I do have a response. Okay, I send it back to them. And what you're doing is you're giving yourself the positive experience that you want to experience. Doesn't mean you are. And what we're doing is training our brain to live that experience. And then when it happens, you ever have people go, oh man, I've worked 20 years and then I became, I got $25 million. And then I was like, oh, I feel like I've been here the whole time. Is because it's no shocks in the world. You just kind of start to live it. And so what happens with this opening the door technique is you tend to visualize the actual life experience you want. And the more you start to do that, the world starts to conspire to build that.
So, right. So start thinking about different phases of your real estate business in a meditative way. We're going to leave this at that because I struggle with this section.
Yeah.
But I know it works. It works. I've actually, The Secret, the movie, like way back in the day, I actually use that darn thing sometimes. I'm just like, at one point, I don't want to give the number, but I said, you know what, I'm going to make this much a month. And for whatever reason, I said it enough times to myself that I eventually got there.
Yeah.
And it's at the time when I said it, didn't seem possible at all. Like it seemed like pie in the sky.
And it's also, if we get real with this, it's if I took a dartboard and if I don't know where the bullseye is,
yeah,
where am I going?
It's like having a goal, basically.
Yeah, and a lot of it is the experience that you want to live. I mean, if you're going through this, and I say this, like, if you're going through this and you're going through this thing and you're meeting all those people and you're like, I hate talking to people, and you're going through this every day. I'm not trying to kick anybody out of real estate, but dude, if you're not living your life that you want, dude, then you need to make a change, because there's always someone that's going to go through this mental state that says, that's the life I want.
Yeah. Got it. All right. So physical, we have a mental action plan. So basically in the stack, we're doing some physical stuff every day. We're taking some time to meditate, for lack of a better word, but to think on our business in this way, through these different specific areas. And then there's this thing you have to do to create momentum. What's that?
So when we look at our business and we look at a lot of meditation, or we look at, are you talking about the testimonial side?
No. Oh, I kind of skipped past that. I was going down to the next section, but
okay. So the last stack is accepting that myself and Ryan and everybody on this call is that we're quite lazy. and it's not that we're lazy. All of us will work. We're just lazy in the thing that sucks. And usually we're lazy in the things that are repeated. But unfortunately, it's the repeated things that get us to where we want to go. So as we try to figure that out, what we do with the Move 30 is we need to dig deep to where you really want to go. And then what we need to do is find out what are those repeated things that we need to do that's going to give you that result. And then what we want to do is chunk those down even smaller. So the ultimate goal is to find these actions that you guys can take in the real estate business, whatever that is, to get more clients, get more real estate investment, whatever that is. The reason that we talk about the actual repeated process is because most of us are solo entrepreneurs and we are the energy of the business. So if you're not running ads to get more customers, if you're not doing that, then you don't have an energy source. And for you to actually sit down in your desk and go, why am I not getting any deals, is not, the answer is there because you don't have a front end energy source. So what we find over and over and over again, I find that the further I dig down, I realize that there's a repeated action that we can do that's going to give you 3 different areas. And that is to earn, learn, or pivot. And so let's use 2 examples. If you're in a position, and I'm going to just throw this out here, the Move 30 is about getting in momentum in 30 days. So as you could see here, we're trying to use forward thinking. We're not trying to get woo-woo here. We're trying to use forward thinking. And we're saying our body's going to react differently through a physical side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say, if we want to earn, what is the thing that I have to do as solo entrepreneurs? Do I need to rent? Do I need to send out 10 messages a day? Now I'm going to get 300 a day. Can I do that unemotionally? Regardless if someone sends me a message back and goes, you're an absolute idiot, don't ever do this again. Can I get through that? And when we put a number to unemotionally do, you get the job done, and then you can actually look at the data and know where you're going to move your ship. But if you don't have any repeated processes, you don't have anything consistent. And if you don't have any consistent, then you can't move anything. And it's the hardest freaking thing to do. Yeah. The other one is, because if we go earn, is that if you're going to learn, let's say, for example, you decided to, you're a real estate agent, and you said, look, I'm going to broker my own deals. I'd like to get my broker, be a broker. Okay, great. So I'd sit down with you. I'd say, great. Well, how fast do we want to get specific thing done? Say, oh, it's a certain amount of time. Okay, great. We're going to have to dedicate this amount of time unemotionally, sign the contract with me. And we're going to do this for 30 minutes a day, no matter what. You're going to clear, and we're going to do it for 30. And by the end of those 30 days, we can take the knowledge of what you just had, and now we can go double earn. I'm not saying you can go get your broker's license 30 minutes. It's not 30 days. But my point is, let's use it as another example. If you find yourself that you want to have a better relationship with your clients, and you're somebody that needs to write emails, you do, but because you are insecure in doing it, I would work with you and say, let's write an email every day for the next 30 days. After 30 days, we now don't have 10,000 hours, but we have the baseline and confidence to do it.
Would you say also take a course on email marketing as part of that? Or
I'm not really a proponent in courses during this period, because courses are internal education without anything going forward.
Okay.
And so
I'm writing these bullets out, not to confuse everybody. They're just thoughts, like examples of what learning activities would be. But you're saying, so under the learn, taking action, that'll help you figure things out, basically?
Yeah. So basically, if you guys understand any form of flow state runs at about 4% grade of you moving forward in whatever you're trying to get completed. So you need a goal, you need friction, you need time. So if I were to look at something that you're going to learn, as you start to do it, you're going to then start to go, oh, I understand that shift. Oh, I can do that now. And every day that you do it, you get better, you get better, you get better. And then right around maybe the 20th day, it starts to get boring, but you're using the skill, not the emotion, to get it done.
Okay. Yeah. So
now it becomes an art.
Yeah, translated to some of the things we do. I talk a lot about, Jason, I've seen you comment on my Facebook post about posting a property list of, right? I post like houses with swimming pools or something every day. Yeah. So for me, that feels like a stackable thing. Like that would be something in my arsenal. I need to, and like you said, I need to email. We talk about sending something cool at least once a week. I need to schedule time and consistently send an email out to my whole database. Like those 2 things alone would probably change a lot of people's business. Just those.
This is not real estate, but I had a client we just work with, and he's in the web development business. I know it's not real estate, but we sat down, we broke it all down. It was like, hey, what if we did 2 audits a day? And he's in web development, things like that. We did 2 audits a day for 30 days. He literally added $50,000 to his business in 30 days.
He offered website owners to look at their site, give a feedback on it.
Yeah, he had the process, knew what it was, but we were like, what is it? And it was like, we do 2 of these a day. And literally by the 10th day, it was almost like cling, cling, cling. And it was because the philosophy here, if I worked with anybody that was here, is we got to get down to what's the action that you're not doing. That's what we have to get down to. And whatever that is, it sometimes is different for other people. But the actual thing about the Move 30 is, let's take this stack that we just talked about. If it was 10 messages a day, if you do this for 30 days, then you say, this gives me 2 property listings. Then you do it for another 30 days. You don't get off it. It gives me 2 property listings. Now we go into our 3rd month and I go, I've got a pattern here. My assumption is 2 listings. Now, my question to myself is, do I want to hold that stack because I know my labor is worth 2 listings if I do that every day? Or now we get a little more advanced. Can I delegate that stack to someone else?
Yeah.
Then once I delegate the stack to someone else, now I then go find another stack for me. And that's how you continue to move the business forward.
Is that pivoting?
Pivoting comes down to, if I do the actual thing for 20 days over and over again, and I go, this isn't working. Now I'm on my 30 days. I can now pivot and go, that's not working. But most people, I say this about myself, 100%, everybody on here, you don't really know your numbers. I mean, I say that with all the love. Most of us don't know the numbers in pressure. You could say what you sold, but you probably couldn't say the exact numbers all the way through by putting pressure to it. If I message 20 people with a little bit of pressure, do I really know my numbers? Or do I know my numbers because of the lifestyle that I live? And these are the results I really get. There's a much different, plateau there.
Hey guys, just take a break. Jason, you guys have been a little quiet in the chat, but we haven't asked for feedback. What's everybody think of this so far? Again, not hardcore real estate, but I think a lot of them put this under mental and physical. A lot of this stuff can, again, inform your business. And I'd be curious to hear, how many of you guys work with coaches like Jason? I've always resisted it throughout my life. He was just a wacko when he was messaging me on Facebook. I was like, all right, I'll bite, do whatever this is. But anybody who wants to chat and just say, hey, have you used somebody like him in the past? Do you in your current business? And do you think you'll implement any of these ideas on some level in your business? Would love to hear it. Mia says it's fantastic. Thank you. Great session. Thanks, guys. We don't do this a lot. I'm usually, Jason, you don't know, but I'm usually like hardcore tactical, talking 1,000 words a minute, just, moving around the web, like running ads and stuff on these. So it's been kind of fun to have you on and have a different pace here.
Well, it's a great opportunity for feedback and learning as well. I mean, do you guys think that are on here now that if I took the Move 30's philosophy and I started to find the exact things for real estate agents to move you forward, would that be valuable for you guys? And would this be something that if we made it for real estate agents specifically, would see some value out of this? That would be great feedback.
Yeah, I'm going to take a stab, Jason, myself, just at translating, what I know about the real estate business and what I've learned from you into some more concrete examples here. So I'll show you those. I think there's in general, we're all open to hiring coaches in our life and everything. But every coach I've paid for in the real estate space, I've always felt like I didn't get my money's worth. Maybe I had bad luck, but I definitely think there's space for this sort of stuff. And you've made me more of a believer, Jason, just kind of getting some help, yeah, great feedback, guys. Jason, I don't know if you can see the comments. So let's
thank you so much.
Yeah, let's stop it here. Guys, we're not going to probably do the KV Core Q&A today. We'll be back tomorrow with the regular KV Core Q&A. Jason, if people want to reach out, is it just move30.com or something? Yeah,
you can go to move30.com, sign up a time there. I always like to make sure that I can help you. So if you went to move30.com and signed up there, you can go in.
And just so everybody knows, this is not a inside real estate endorsement. There's no affiliate program here. I just really like Jason and I've liked this program. So there's not, there's no pressure to buy anything, right, Jason? We're nice.
None at all.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, guys. Jason, thanks again. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Yep. And we'll be back tomorrow, guys, at the same time. We're probably gonna get a little more tactical on that website stuff we were doing yesterday. I had a lot more follow-up thoughts on the little micro niche site I built yesterday. Jason, I'll just share with you, I built a niche site on Google Sites around specific keywords, trying to rank a little site, something you might be able to use in your business around specific keywords. And we walk through the whole process. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow, guys. And thanks everybody for being here. See you later.
Thanks a lot. I really do appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Jason.